Hello everybody. We are on a different kind of adventure today. No motorcycles, no mountain bikes, just national forests. We are entering official OHV lands where I guess as long as you have a permit, there's thousands of acres of trails that go throughout the national forest. I didn't grab a map because of course the map box is empty, but I have my GPS unit. I'm heading towards Eagle Peak, which should be pretty darn cool. I was originally packed up and ready to go on the KTM. Is this sideways? That's not level. There it is. So originally I was packed up to go on the KTM, and last night I decided, based on weather reports that I double checked this morning, there's a 70% chance of thunderstorms up here in this area, and the smoke. I hope it rains because the air quality up here is really bad still. I haven't been out on an adventure in a while because the last couple of weeks, 2 weekends ago, I went out to go camping on the motorcycle. I made it out as far as Pleasanton, and it was 106 degrees going through Pleasanton, so I decided I was going to go home. When it's that hot, it's just not healthy to just push yourself in the heat, and with the hot wind on the motorcycle, it just turns you into a bad piece of leather. I figured it wasn't worth it. And then last weekend, we had a nice old heat wave here in California. Over by the bay, it was 111 degrees. I guess in San Francisco, they hit 106 for, I guess, the first time ever. And it was on the way between where I live, where it was 111, and coming up here to higher altitudes. I guess it actually hit 116 degrees, and there's no way in hell I'm going out in that. I have all of my armor, everything's nicely vented, but that cooks a person. That's not good for you. So, this weekend, things are starting to cool down, and I'm gonna pre-scout out this kind of national forest area. Like I said, I was gonna take the KTM, but I have no idea if there's water up here. I have no idea if this is a highly traveled area. I don't know if I'm going to be just running into groups of four-wheel drives, and I have no idea. So I figured I'd come up here in my wheeled backpack, aka my truck, and just glamour camping. They call it glamping. I've got all my stuff that I normally take with me on the KTM. I could even do a pack out video on what I take on the KTM when I go out. It's funny, I just grabbed the panniers and my camping pack, stuck it in the back, only this time I can carry my own water. I've got a couple of gallons with me, and grabbed a 6-pack of beer before coming in. What else do I have? Weird things like lanterns and actual camping equipment. I've got a big old folding chair, so I'm going to be living in the Hilton tonight. I had to go through, because I didn't bring my riding jacket and my riding pants, all of the things that I take for granted. I have certain items that I keep in my jacket, in my pants, so I don't have to think about grabbing them when I'm packing and getting my stuff together. When I take the motorcycle, it's nice to just get your riding stuff on, and you have all of the items. So what I had to make sure to grab and bring with me was my lighter I keep in my jacket, my strop for my axe and for my knife, that's usually in my back pouch on my jacket. I had to grab that. Some random snack stuff. My fire permit I keep that in my riding pants, and I believe that's about it, but pretty important items. I do have my fire steel with me inside my other kit, but let's face it, a lighter is quick and easy. What I didn't take into consideration is that there's fire restrictions, so I'm not going to be using the lighter anyway. I'll just use my my one burner little stove that's packed in my pannier to boil my water. And that's the other thing that I brought, was I brought a couple of gallons of water that when you're in the truck you can bring all that stuff with you. It does appear that there are little streams crossing up here, so in a pinch, if you're on the bike, there's a meadow. If you're on the bike, set up camp, and you can always go back and filter some water. Make a separate little backtrack trip to filter water from a stream, and then you'll have drinking water, coffee water, and if fires are permitted, then you have your safety water to be able to put out a fire if it starts to get away from you. Safety first. What's also nice is to come in here and keep track of the mileage of the places that I'm going, so I know that I can successfully make it out and make it back without running out of gas on the motorcycles. They don't have they've got 5.5 gallons of fuel capacity, but sometimes when you're off-road in low gears, your fuel mileage isn't always so great. So rather than not literally push it. The GPS says I've got another 43 minutes of driving on dirt just to get to the end of this road where the trail starts to get up to Eagle Peak. Nice, so beautiful out here. So there is a distinct possibility that I have all of this to myself. This is one of those drives in that you can't just film the whole thing. I mean, you can, but if you're trying to make a video, this whole drive in could be a video. The views. The terrain is just rough enough that you can't really go too crazy, but you can pick up some speed and get a little rough. Here to the middle of nowhere, where I love to be. Try to find a spot where there's absolutely no humans, and this will be probably a future bug out spot as well for my buddy and I on the KTMs. I guess I'll find out soon enough. Water bars. I passed my left turn onto 5N74 and my GPS rerouted me, but the reroute that it took me on was to continue on the road that I was on in this big giant goddamn loop, and I eventually came back around after I don't know how many miles back around to an earlier section of the trail. So I did a big fat circle in the middle of nowhere, which is fine. I like driving it, but this is the actual way. Four-wheel drive only. Well, the bikes will make it up. But had a longer adventure than I had anticipated. Here we are. I've left the backpack behind, locked in the middle of nowhere. This trail, once I found Eagle Peak, and I'm trying to zoom in on the GPS to find trails, I'm not sure if this trail is on the GPS, so I'm not sure where this goes. I started up and I made it about to here and realized that I might not have any spot up here to turn around, and I don't have a lift kit on my truck, so I figured I'd just hike ahead a little bit. Try not to get eaten by a bear, and see where this thing starts to lead. It seems pretty. That was the only little spot. This looks pretty tame. The tracks that I see on the ground look like quad tracks, not Jeep or truck SUV tracks. This isn't bad. All right. Better safe than sorry. Easier to walk 100 yards and not get stuck. See these red berries everywhere. Wonder if they're edible. Probably not. Really kind of feeling the altitude. I think home is down at, I don't know, 70 feet? Somewhere between 35 and 70 feet above sea level. And now I'm up at 5,800, 5,500 feet. So my little scouting hikes start to get winded pretty quickly. Be nice to stay up here a bit longer and get acclimated to it, and then be Superman when you get down at the flatlands. So awesome. The temperature up here has dropped down into the 50s, which is absolutely perfect, which means it's going to get nice and cold tonight, which means I actually get to use, those are camp spots. Well, flat spots, clearings. Here's a sign here. What does this say? This says Groundhog Meadow. This place is completely awesome. There's a fire pit. This technically is dispersed camping. There's a road that continues in. I believe that I've found a gold mine of camping spots. Super happy. The backpack. Couple of pieces of wood here. I'm going to go back to the other side. But you can just, I guess, just camp here. I'm going to go back down over there to those spots. There's a bunch of rounds cut up wood-wise, and the sign said that fires can be had on this side as long as you have a fire permit, which I do. So I'm going to go back over to that other side. They all looked pretty green wood-wise. Autopilot. I'm in the middle of nowhere and I lock it. I'm going to situate my truck. Still undecided whether I'm going to tent it or truck it. Depends on what the weather ends up looking like. I'm not going to pop my tent right away. It only takes like whatever 10 minutes to set it up, so I'm going to wait to find out. It's only 2:51 and it was supposed to start raining around 4-ish. So I'll wait and find out how things look. I'll check back in. Starting to sprinkle a little bit, but that was definitely thunder. Looks like it's going to be a fun night. I'd tell you about the herd of cows, but you wouldn't believe me. Maybe they'll come back through. There's lots of thunder rolling over this hill. So I'm going to gather some wood. I don't have to have a fire, but there's enough small bits. I'm going to gather some stuff and start this collection underneath my truck. So when it starts to rain, that'll stay dry and I will at least have the option. I've got my 10 by 10. I can put up a tarp. I've got plenty of trees. I've got my truck. I've got beer. I've got food. All right. This is now our race against nature. I've got a thunderstorm peeling right over that ridge there. And I'm gonna need food in me if I'm gonna get stuck in my truck. I have to decide whether or not I'm gonna put up my 10 by 10, put up my tarp, because then at least I can be outside and not stuck in the truck if it's gonna be downpouring. So I'm feeling just the initial sprinkles. And the sun's out right there, but on the other side, I've got the incoming storm. I don't know if the GoPro mic is able to pick up the thunder, but she is a-coming. Very cool. It's actually kind of exciting, the idea of being out here in the middle of a thunderstorm. So it looks like I just won this race with nature. See if I can wait till the helicopter gets out of the background. It's like a robinette video. Food is, I guess, rehydrating. Was able to boil some water, and I'm starting to get the first couple of light sprinkles, and I don't have my GoPro case. What I brought was for this gimbal, and with the gimbal, it's a naked GoPro. Great for sound, bad for rain. So I will hang here and eat my dinner, and then I'll make a decision. Basically, I brought a 6-pack of beer and all the stuff for camping. The reason I didn't bring the KTM is because this storm was forecast for right about this time, strangely. So I figured I'd come and spot out the place ahead of time and find some decent locations for future KTM trips. This is a great spot. There's plenty of parking, there's plenty of space. There's these little fire rings everywhere, right next to a meadow, and it's a decent ride in. A lot of off-road time, and it's just really nice and quiet. I'm the only person here. I've had 2 trucks drive by in the past 45 minutes to an hour, however long I've been here, but they just dust right on by and that's it. So I'll know more soon. This is adventure. The rain is just starting, so I'm gonna do something about this dinner and catch up with you after. Hello again. Okay, so I had found my camp spot. The rain has come in. I was barely able to beat nature, and I was able to boil water before it started raining, and I made my dinner. Had a really nice chicken teriyaki meal, boiled in a bag. And so now here I am sitting in the truck. It's pouring rain. I'm the only person out here. So between, try to figure out what my choices are. I can stay and weather out the storm, or I can drive home and pretty much not camp. So I figured it was a pretty easy choice. I only have one thing I can do. Go around and drive around in it. I'm gonna go hit the trails that I was just on. I'm gonna go up to Eagle Peak. I'm gonna go slopping around in the rain. So if it stops raining, good. If not, no people are coming in if it's gonna be raining. So this spot is still gonna be here. So I'm gonna go drive around. And nothing else smells like this. The forest after a rain. Awesome colors. Guess I'm gonna do another lap. And this is why we come out here. You're free to just wander about. It starts raining, it just makes things more fun. No more dust. Hard to decide whether or not it's more traction or less traction. It feels like more, at least for now, with the little amount of rain. Single-handedly. Yeah, really, one hand's holding the GoPro. Maybe the gimbal will start showing how steep this is because it's going to stay level. Whoa. A lot of fun to drive around. But at some point, what time is it? 5:30. It's going to start getting dark here within a couple hours. Do I make a day trip of it? Do I drink some beer and make a night of it? It's not like there's going to be a campfire. Decisions. And each time I think that I'm going to head towards home, I see a different route on the way out, so I take it, and I keep finding these cool ass spots. There's a fire pit. I'm trying to want to go home, I think. I think just sitting up here and drinking beer by myself and then sleeping in my truck. In the camping sense, that sounds fun, but just drinking beer by myself and sleeping in my truck doesn't sound very healthy. Ah, this place is gorgeous though.